Battle Commander Sarah Chen gripped the command chair of the ESS Defiance as her small fleet dropped out of hyperspace above the sanctuary worlds. What she saw made her stomach clench with rage. 12 Black Devourer ships, each the size of a city, were systematically destroying refugee camps on the planet's surface. Billions of innocent beings were dying while they watched. All ships, this is Chen, she broadcast to the 11 other human vessels that had volunteered for this mission. You know the situation. The Confederation fleet won't arrive for 6 hours. Those people down there don't have 6 hours. Understood, Commander, came the reply from Captain Williams aboard the Yorktown. What are your orders? Chen studied the tactical display. 12 human ships against 12 Devourer vessels. The Devourers had superior technology, stronger shields, and weapons that could vaporize a human ship with a single hit. By every logical calculation, this was a suicide mission. But humans had never been particularly logical when innocent lives were at stake. We can't match their firepower, Chen said, so we won't try. Remember your training. Humans don't fight fair. We fight to win. Implement Wolfpack Protocol. Across the human fleet, crews that had trained for this moment their entire lives sprang into action. Wolfpack Protocol was pure human thinking. If you can't overpower your enemy, confuse them, frustrate them, and make them angry enough to make mistakes. Bangalore, you're with me on the first run, Chen ordered. Hit the lead ship's sensors and then break off. Make them think we're retreating. Everyone else spread out and prepare for harassment attacks. The 2 human ships accelerated toward the massive Devourer fleet. The enemy vessels, detecting the approach, turned their weapons toward what they undoubtedly saw as 2 insignificant threats. Now! Chen shouted. Both human ships fired everything they had at the lead Devourer's sensor array, then immediately turned and fled at maximum speed. The Devourer's return fire passed harmlessly through the space they had just vacated. Classic human hit and run, Williams reported with satisfaction. Lead ship sensors are damaged. They're angry. And that was exactly what Chen wanted. Angry enemies make mistakes. The Devourers broke formation to pursue the retreating human ships. As soon as they did, the other 10 human vessels attacked from completely different angles, targeting engines, weapon systems, and communication arrays. Not trying to destroy the massive ships, but to cripple and confuse them. This is insane, reported Captain Martinez from the Intrepid. The Devourers are firing at everything. They're hitting each other as much as they're hitting us. Chen smiled grimly. That's because they're machines. They don't understand chaos and improvisation. Keep moving. Keep them guessing. Never attack from the same angle twice. For 2 hours, 12 human ships danced around 12 massive Devourer vessels like wolves harassing a herd of buffalo. They couldn't destroy the enemy ships, but they could frustrate them, damage their systems, and most importantly, keep them too busy to continue their attack on the planet's surface. Commander, called Lieutenant Park from the sensor station, Confederation fleet dropping out of hyperspace. Chen looked at the tactical display and felt her heart sink. The Confederation fleet was impressive, over 100 ships representing the best technology in the galaxy. But they were flying in perfect formation, broadcasting identification codes and approaching the battle like it was a training exercise. The Devourers, who had been growing increasingly frustrated with the unpredictable human attacks, immediately turned their attention to this new, more conventional threat. Confederation fleet, this is Chen, she broadcast on all frequencies. Do not approach in formation. The Devourers have concentrated firepower that will cut through your formations like paper. Battle Commander Chen, came the reply from Admiral. Kwanzaa, thank you for your assistance, but we'll handle this according to Confederation military doctrine. Chen watched in horror as the beautiful, organized Confederation fleet approached the Devourers in textbook formation. The enemy ships, finally facing opponents who fought in a predictable manner, opened fire with devastating effect. 3 Confederation ships were destroyed in the first exchange. Admiral, Chen called urgently. Break formation, fight like humans, no patterns, no predictability. We are not humans, Admiral Kwanzaa replied stiffly. We fight with honor and discipline. Your honor is getting your people killed, Chen shouted back. This isn't a duel between gentlemen. This is survival. But it was too late. The Confederation fleet, fighting bravely but predictably, was being systematically destroyed by an enemy that calculated the optimal response to every traditional tactic. Chen made a decision that went against every military tradition she knew. All human ships, new orders. We're going to teach our allies how to fight dirty. She opened a channel to the entire Confederation fleet. All ships, this is Battle Commander Chen. Forget everything you know about proper military tactics. Copy everything the human ships do. If we turn left, you turn left. If we retreat, you retreat. If we do something that seems insane, you do it too. Trust us. Commander, Admiral Kwanzaa, protested, we cannot simply abandon military discipline. Admiral, Chen replied as she watched another Confederation ship explode, your military discipline is designed for fighting other honorable species. The Devourers aren't honorable. They're machines programmed to kill organic life. Fight like your life depends on it because it does. Human ship defiance, came a new voice over the communication system. It was Captain Vorton of the Confederation vessel Harmony. My crew is ready to follow your lead. Mine too, said another captain. Then another. Within minutes, half the Yao surviving Confederation fleet was requesting permission to follow human tactical commands. Admiral Kwanzaa was quiet for a long moment. Then, all ships, this is Admiral Kwanzaa. You are hereby authorized to follow human tactical leadership. Battle Commander Chen, the fleet is yours. Chen felt the weight of the moment. She was about to order some of the most advanced, peaceful species in the galaxy to fight like humans, to abandon their evolved pacifism and embrace the violent creativity that had made humanity too dangerous for galactic society. All ships, she broadcast, welcome to human warfare. First rule, there are no rules. Second rule, whatever you think the enemy expects you to do something else. Third rule, protect each other and make the enemy pay for every inch of space. What followed was unlike any battle in galactic history. Human ships led mixed formations of alien vessels in attacks that made no logical sense. They retreated when they should have advanced when they should have retreated, and coordinated their chaos in ways that confused even themselves. The Devourers, programmed to counter logical military tactics, found themselves unable to predict or respond to the creative madness of species that had learned to fight like humans. One by one, the massive black ships began to fall. When the battle was over 6 hours later, the space around the sanctuary worlds was filled with debris from both fleets. The Devourers had been destroyed, but at terrible cost. Half the Confederation fleet was gone, and 7 of the 12 human ships had been lost. But the billions of refugees on the planet's surface were alive. Battle Commander Chen, Admiral Kwanzaa's voice came over the communication system. The Confederation Council has asked me to convey their gratitude. Your tactics saved not just those people, but possibly the entire galaxy. Chen looked around her damaged bridge. Admiral, we didn't do this alone. Your people learned to fight like humans when they had to. Maybe that's something we should remember. What do you mean? You spent centuries afraid of us because we're violent and aggressive, Chen explained. But maybe the galaxy needs a little violence and aggression when something threatens innocent life. Maybe that's what humans are for. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Kwanzaa said something that changed the course of galactic history. Battle Commander, on behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I formally request that humanity join our alliance, not as a contained threat, but as protectors of those who cannot protect themselves. Chen smiled as she looked at the stars beyond her viewport. Admiral, it would be our honor. The species that had been called too dangerous for galactic society had become its greatest defenders, and in learning to fight like humans, the galaxy had learned something important about the difference between violence for destruction and violence for protection. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the galaxy was exactly what the galaxy needed most. The quarantine was over. Humanity was finally home. Ambassador Velnara had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. As the Confederation's chief xenobiologist and first contact specialist, she was supposed to handle the situation when humans finally broke through the quarantine barriers. She just hadn't expected it to happen so soon. "Ambassador," called Captain Rendar from the command center of Monitor Station Alpha. His voice carried through the station's communication system with barely controlled panic. "Human vessel approaching Sector 7. They've achieved faster-than-light travel." Velnara hurried to the main observation deck. Through the massive viewing windows, she could see a crude but functional human spacecraft emerging from what they called hyperspace. It was much smaller than Confederation vessels, and it looked primitive, but it was undeniably real. "How is this possible?" she asked Dr. Hulvian, who was frantically checking her calculations. "You said they needed another 100 years. "They were supposed to," Dr. Hulvian replied, her crystalline body flickering with confusion. "But they did something unprecedented. Instead of one nation developing the technology, 57 different human groups worked together. They shared research, resources, and personnel. We've never seen cooperation like this from them before." On the screen, the human vessel continued moving through space. It was sending out radio signals in multiple frequencies, broadcasting mathematical sequences and what appeared to be peaceful greetings in dozens of human languages. "What should we do?" asked Captain Rendar. "Fleet Command gave us instructions to prevent any human vessels from leaving their solar system." Velnara looked at the small ship on the screen. After decades of monitoring, she knew exactly what was aboard that vessel. 12 humans, probably scientists and diplomats, who had no idea they were entering a galaxy that considered them a deadly threat. "Contact Fleet Admiral Kwanzaa immediately," she ordered, "and prepare the patrol ships for intercept, but do not fire unless fired upon." Within minutes, 3 Confederation patrol vessels moved to surround the human ship. The humans immediately stopped broadcasting and seemed to be trying to understand what was happening. "Ambassador," came Admiral Kwanzaa's voice over the communication system. "You have authorization to make first contact. Remember, these creatures are classified as Category 7 threats. Be extremely cautious." Velnara opened a communication channel to the human vessel. "Human spacecraft, this is Ambassador Velnara of the Galactic Confederation. Please respond." There was a long pause. Then a voice replied in what she recognized as English, one of the major human languages. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Endeavor. Did you say? Galactic Confederation? Are you aliens?" Despite everything, Velnara found herself almost smiling. The human's voice carried wonder and excitement, not fear or aggression. "Yes, Captain Chen. We are what you would call aliens, and you have entered space that is under Confederation jurisdiction." "This is incredible," Captain Chen said. "We've been hoping to meet other intelligent life for decades. We come in peace. We're explorers and scientists." "Captain," Velnara said carefully, "I need you to return to your solar system immediately. Your species has been classified as too dangerous for contact with galactic civilization." The silence that followed was different this time. When Captain Chen spoke again, her voice carried hurt and confusion. "Dangerous? We're not dangerous. We're here to learn and share knowledge. We brought art, music, science, and mathematical proofs to share with anyone we might meet." Dr. Hulvian leaned close to Velnara. "Ambassador, they're transmitting their cargo manifest. It's exactly what she said. Scientific data, cultural artifacts, music, literature. No weapons detected on their vessel." "Captain Chen," Velnara said, "we have been monitoring your species for over 2 centuries. We have observed your wars, your weapons of mass destruction, your violent entertainment. The Confederation has determined that humans are too aggressive to be allowed into galactic society." Another pause. Then Captain Chen's voice returned, sadder now but still determined. "We know we're not perfect. Yes, we've fought wars. Yes, we've made mistakes. But we've also created beauty, cured diseases, explored our solar system, and learned to work together. The ship I'm commanding was built by 57 nations working together for the first time in our history." "That may be true," Velnara replied, "but the decision has been made. You must return to your solar system and remain there. And if we refuse? Captain Chen asked quietly. Admiral Kwanzaa's voice cut into the channel from Fleet Command. Then you will be destroyed. This is Admiral Kwanzaa of the Confederation Fleet. Human vessel, you are surrounded and outgunned. Return to your system immediately or face the consequences. Velnara watched the human ship on her screen. It was so small compared to the Confederation patrol vessels. The humans aboard must be terrified, but instead of running or attacking, they did something unexpected. Admiral, Captain Chen said, we understand your fears. If you've been watching us, you know we can be violent. But you've also seen us help each other, create beautiful things, and work together to solve problems. We're asking for a chance to prove that we can be good neighbors in this galaxy. You've had centuries to prove that, Admiral Kwanzaa replied coldly. Instead, you've shown us nothing but warfare and aggression. Then let us show you something different now, Captain Chen said. We'll return to our solar system as you ask, but we request permission to leave some of our cultural and scientific materials with you. Music, art, literature, scientific discoveries. Judge us by our best qualities, not just our worst. Hulvian looked at Velnara with surprise. Even when threatened with destruction, the humans were trying to make a peaceful gesture. They wanted to share rather than fight. Admiral Kwanzaa's response was immediate. Absolutely not. Return to your system immediately. Any attempt to approach our vessels will be considered an act of aggression. Understood, Admiral, Captain Chen said. But please, we hope someday you'll give us another chance. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better. The human vessel slowly turned around and headed back toward their solar system. As it disappeared into hyperspace, the bridge of Monitor Station Alpha fell silent. Ambassador, Dr. Hulvian said quietly. They could have fought. Their ship had some basic weapon systems. They chose not to use them. Velnara nodded. She had been expecting aggression, demands, threats. Instead, the humans had shown disappointment, hurt, but ultimately acceptance. They had offered to share their culture even when facing destruction. Captain Rendar, she said, send a secure message to Confederation Council. First contact with humans has been completed. They have agreed to return to their solar system and respect our quarantine. And your recommendation? Captain Rendar asked. Velnara was quiet for a long time. My recommendation is that we continue monitoring them. But I'm beginning to think we may have misjudged them. Admiral Kwanzaa won't like that assessment, Captain Rendar warned. No, Velnara agreed. She won't, but it's the truth. As the human ship disappeared from their sensors, Velnara wondered what would have happened if they had given the humans a chance. Instead, they had sent them home like dangerous children, isolated and alone in their small corner of the galaxy. She hoped it was the right decision. But deep in her heart, she was beginning to fear they had just made a terrible mistake. Captain Rendar had been watching the humans for 47 years. What started as a simple monitoring assignment had become his life's work. In that time, he had seen 3 different species rotate through Monitor Station Alpha. But he had stayed. Someone needed to understand these strange creatures. The station was much larger now than when Commander Zextai had first built it. What started as a small listening post had grown into a major installation, with over 200 personnel from 15 different species. The Galactic Confederation took the human threat very seriously. Captain, you need to see this, said Dr. Hulvian, the station's chief xenobiologist. Her people, the crystalline entities, had minds that worked like living computers. If anyone could understand human behavior, it would be her. Rendar floated over to her workstation. His people didn't have legs like humans. They were more like intelligent gas clouds that could change shape. It made moving around easier, but he often wondered what it would be like to walk on solid limbs like humans did. What have they done now, he asked. In 47 years, humans had never stopped surprising him. Just when he thought he understood them, they would do something completely unexpected. They've sent another probe to their outer planets, Doctor, Hulvian explained. But this one is different. Look at what they put on it. The screen showed images from the human probe called Voyager. but attached to it was something that made no sense from a military perspective. It was a golden disc covered in pictures and sounds. They put music on it, Dr. Holvian continued. Art. Pictures of their planet and their species. Mathematical formulas. It's like they want to be found by alien life. Rendar studied the images. There were pictures of human children playing, humans eating together, humans from different regions of their planet showing the variety in their appearance, music from many different cultures. It was beautiful, in a strange way. I don't understand, said Lieutenant Zeklos, a young officer who had recently been assigned to the station. Why would a violent species send art into space? Are they trying to trick potential enemies? That's what doesn't make sense, Dr. Hulvian said. We've been watching them for decades, and they keep doing things like this. Yes, they fight wars. Yes, they compete constantly. But they also create incredible beauty. They risk their lives to save complete strangers. They explore dangerous places just to learn new things. Rendar had seen this pattern many times. Humans would wage terrible wars, killing millions of their own kind. Then the same species would send their people into burning buildings to save others. They would spend enormous resources to help their sick and injured. They would work together to solve problems that affected their entire planet. Show him the climate project, Dr. Holovian said to her assistant. The screen changed to show images from Earth's surface. Humans were working together across their entire planet to address something they called climate change. Different nations that usually competed or fought with each other were sharing technology and resources. They're trying to save their planet, Dr. Holvian explained. Even though it requires them to give up short-term benefits, they're thinking about their children's future and their children's children. Some humans are dedicating their entire lives to this project, even though they won't live to see the results. Lieutenant Zeklos looked confused. But why would they care about future generations? Most species only care about their own immediate survival. That's another thing that makes them unusual, Rendar said. They seem to care about abstract concepts like justice, beauty, and future generations. Watch this. He pulled up another file. It showed humans protesting against their own governments when they felt their leaders were doing wrong. Humans going to prison rather than participate in wars they thought were unjust. Humans working without pay to help people they had never met on the other side of their planet. They have something they call conscience, Dr. Holvian said. It makes them feel bad when they think they've done something wrong, even if no one else knows about it. It's very unusual among intelligent species. Over the years, Rendar had compiled thousands of hours of human observations. Their entertainment was indeed violent, but it usually showed violence as a bad thing that caused suffering. Their stories often taught lessons about working together, protecting the innocent, and standing up for what was right. Their sports were competitive, but they had rules to prevent serious injury. They celebrated fair play and good sportsmanship. When someone got hurt, even on the opposing team, they would stop the game to help. Captain, said Communications Officer Plex Yuri, we're receiving a transmission from Fleet Command. Admiral Kwanzaa appeared on the screen. She looked older than she had 47 years ago, but her expression was as serious as ever. Captain Rendar, the Confederation Council has reviewed your reports about human behavior. Some members are concerned that you may be developing sympathy for the subjects of your observation. Rendar felt his gas form tighten with worry. Admiral, I am simply reporting what I observe. Humans are complex. They are not simply violent creatures. They show capacity for great good as well as great destruction. That may be, the Admiral said coldly, but they remain classified as Category 7 threats. Their capacity for violence combined with their rapid technological advancement makes them too dangerous for contact. We have reports that they are developing more advanced rockets. How long until they achieve faster-than-light travel? Doctor. Holvian checked her calculations. At current pace, approximately 150 years, Admiral, but they continue to fight among themselves, which slows their progress. Good. Maintain the quarantine. And, Captain, remember your duty. You are there to protect the galaxy from a potential threat, not to become fascinated by them. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in uncomfortable silence. Sir, Lieutenant Zeklos said quietly. Do you really think they're as dangerous as the Council believes? Rendar looked at the images of humans still playing on the screens, children laughing, families sharing meals, artists creating beautiful works, scientists working together to unlock the secrets of the universe. I don't know, he admitted. They are certainly capable of great violence, but they are also capable of great beauty and kindness. The question is, which side of their nature would dominate if they reach the stars? What do you think? Dr. Holvian asked. Rendar was quiet for a long time. I think, he said finally, that we may be making the biggest mistake in galactic history, but I also think we cannot afford to be wrong. As the monitoring continued year after year, Rendar began to wonder if the humans were truly the threat the Confederation believed them to be, or if perhaps they were something else entirely, something the galaxy had never seen before, something that might surprise them all. Commander Zextai stared at the data screen with growing alarm. The blue and green planet in the third orbit of the yellow star system was showing signs of a new intelligent species. This should have been good news for the Galactic Confederation. New members always brought fresh ideas and technology, but these creatures were different, very different. The first reports came from Scout Ship Harmony 3 months ago. The crew had been mapping this outer arm of the galaxy when they detected radio signals. Simple math and science at first, then music, then something that made the entire bridge crew nervous. What appeared to be entertainment that glorified violence. Sir, you need to see this, said Science Officer Nimra, her forearms working quickly across the control panels. Her people, the Velnari, had been peaceful for over 10,000 years. They found violence physically painful to watch. We intercepted more transmissions from the third planet, the main screen filled with images that made Zextai step backward. The creatures on the screen, bipedal with only 4 limbs and strange fur only on their heads, were engaged in organized combat. They seemed to enjoy it. Some were hitting each other with gloved hands while others watched and cheered. Another channel showed them running into each other at high speeds while wearing protective gear. What kind of species celebrates violence? Whispered communications specialist Pruval. His tentacles curled in distress. Are they at war with themselves? It gets worse, Nimra continued. We've been monitoring them for weeks now. They have weapons that can destroy their entire planet. Nuclear devices. They've already used them twice in something they call warfare. And their entertainment? They make fictional stories about wars, invasions, and destruction. They seem to find it fun. Zextai reviewed more data. These humans, as they called themselves, lived in every environment on their planet. The frozen poles where temperatures would kill most galactic species in minutes, desert regions with no water for thousands of kilometers. They had even learned to live underwater and in the sky. They were incredibly adaptable, but it was their nature that worried him most. Every interaction they had with their own kind seemed to involve some form of competition or conflict. Their sports were organized battles. Their businesses competed to destroy each other. Even their children played games that involved conflict and conquest. Look at this, Nimra said, switching to another channel. They keep animals as companions, but these animals were originally bred for hunting and fighting. They've domesticated predators. The screen showed creatures called dogs. Some were small and harmless, but others were massive with powerful jaws. Humans walked them on ropes and seemed to enjoy their company. To most galactic species, the idea of living with a predator was terrifying. Sir, said Navigator Velsi, his gas-filled body shimmering with worry. There's something else. They're advancing technologically very quickly. Too quickly. Most species take 50,000 years to develop spaceflight after discovering agriculture. These humans have done it in 12,000 years. At their current rate, they'll have faster-than-light travel within a few hundred years. Zextai felt his stomach drop. The Galactic Confederation had rules about dangerous species. If a species showed too much aggression combined with rapid technological advancement, they could be classified as a threat to galactic peace. He opened a secure channel to High Command on Centauri Prime. The massive space station served as the Confederation's center of government. Within hours, he received a response that made his fears real. Commander Zextai, said High Admiral Kwanzaa, her ancient face showing deep concern. We have reviewed your reports about the humans. The Confederation Council has voted, by a margin of 847 to 3, They have been classified as a Category 7 threat species. Category 7 was the highest threat level. It meant the species was considered too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society. Only 2 other species in recorded history had received this classification. Both had been contained until they destroyed themselves. "What are our orders, Admiral?" Sextai asked, though he suspected he already knew. "Full quarantine of their solar system. No ships in or out. Place monitoring stations at the edge of their system to track their development. Under no circumstances are they to be contacted or allowed to leave their star system. And if they achieve faster-than-light travel despite our quarantine?" The Admiral's expression grew grim. "Then we may have to consider more direct action. The Confederation cannot risk these humans spreading their violent nature across the galaxy. Imagine if they brought their warfare to peaceful worlds. The destruction they could cause would be unthinkable." Zextai closed the channel and looked around his bridge. His crew had heard every word. They all knew what direct action meant. If humans broke through the quarantine, the Confederation fleet would be ordered to stop them. Permanently. "Set course for the edge of their solar system," he ordered quietly. "We'll establish Monitor Station Alpha there. And send a message to Fleet Command. We're going to need a lot more ships." As the Harmony moved toward the outer edge of the human solar system, Zextai wondered if they were making the right choice. The humans seemed violent and dangerous, yes, but they also showed signs of creativity and intelligence. Some of their transmissions contained beautiful art and music. They seemed capable of love and friendship, but then he remembered the images of their wars, the weapons they had created, the way they seemed to enjoy conflict. No, the Confederation was right to be afraid. These humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. They were too dangerous to be allowed into the wider galaxy. The monitor station took 3 weeks to build. It was hidden behind a large asteroid, equipped with the most advanced scanning equipment the Confederation had. From there, they could watch everything the humans did without being detected. As the weeks passed, the reports only got worse. Humans had hundreds of different nations, and many of them were at war with each other. They had enough nuclear weapons to destroy their planet dozens of times over. They competed in everything, even things that should have been cooperative like science and medicine. "Sir," said Nimrod during one of their weekly reports, "I'm detecting increased activity in their space programs. Multiple nations are trying to build bigger rockets. They want to explore their solar system." Zextai nodded grimly. "How long until they achieve faster-than-light travel?" "At their current pace? Maybe 300 years, possibly less if they stop fighting each other and work together. But sir, that seems unlikely. They appear to compete even when it would benefit them to cooperate." The commander made another entry in his log. Day 127 of human monitoring. Species continues to show concerning levels of aggression and technological advancement. Recommend continued quarantine and increased monitoring. He didn't know it then, but those words would be repeated by dozens of commanders over the next 2 centuries. The humans were trapped in their solar system, watched constantly by alien eyes that saw them as the galaxy's greatest threat. None of them imagined that one day, those same humans would become the galaxy's greatest hope. High Admiral Kwanzaa stood in the central command chamber of the Confederation's most advanced monitoring station, watching displays that showed the approaching nightmare. After 500 years of peace, the ancient enemy had returned. The Devourers were coming back to finish what they had started millennia ago. "Status report," she ordered, though she already knew the answer would be bad. 67 star systems have gone dark in the past 3 months, reported Battle Coordinator Zexnal, his tentacles writhing with stress. "The pattern is identical to the historical records from the first Devourer War. They're moving systematically through the outer rim, consuming everything in their path." Kwanzaa studied the tactical display. Red zones marked where entire civilizations had simply vanished. Billions of beings gone without a trace. The Devourers weren't interested in conquest or resources. They were a machine intelligence that viewed organic life as an inefficiency to be eliminated. "What about our defenses?" she asked, though she suspected she already knew. "Admiral," said Fleet Commander Yulsar, his voice heavy with defeat. "We've lost 4 entire battle fleets. The Devourer's technology has advanced significantly since their last appearance. Our weapons barely scratch their hulls, and their ships seem to repair damage faster than we can inflict it." The truth was that the Galactic Confederation had grown soft during centuries of peace. Most species had evolved beyond violence, developing into peaceful beings focused on art, science, and philosophy. Their military forces were designed for peacekeeping and defense against pirates, not for fighting an enemy that wanted to exterminate all organic life. How long until they reach the core worlds? Kwanzaa asked. Sexenal consulted his calculations. At their current rate of advance, 6 months until they reach Centauri Prime. Maybe less if they continue to accelerate. 6 months to save a galaxy that had forgotten how to fight. Admiral, came a new voice from the communication station. We're receiving a transmission from Captain Chen of the human vessel Endeavor. Kwanzaa felt her heart skip. The humans. They had continued to respect the quarantine for the past 50 years, staying within their solar system as ordered. Why were they contacting the Confederation now? Put it through, she ordered. Captain Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She looked older than during their first contact, but her eyes still held the same determination. Admiral Kwanzaa, we've been monitoring your communications. We know about the Devourer threat. How? Kwanzaa demanded. Our communications are encrypted. We've spent 50 years learning about your technology, Chen replied. When you want to survive, you adapt quickly. Admiral, we're offering to help. Help? Kwanzaa almost laughed. You have a few primitive ships and basic weapons. What could you possibly do against an enemy that's destroying our most advanced fleets? You've been watching us for centuries, Chen said. You know what we're capable of when we fight for survival. We're volunteers, Admiral. Every human ship, every human soldier. We know the risks. Kwanzaa looked around her command center. Every species represented there had evolved beyond warfare. The Velnari couldn't even watch violence without becoming physically ill. The crystalline entities processed information perfectly, but had no understanding of tactics or strategy. The gas-form beings were brilliant scientists but had never learned to think like soldiers. You're offering to fight for the galaxy that imprisoned you in your own solar system? She asked. We're offering to fight for the right of organic life to exist, Chen replied. Our philosophies may be different, Admiral, but we all deserve to live free. If the Devourers win, it won't matter what species we are. Admiral, interrupted Commander Yulsar. We're receiving reports from the Rigel sector. 3 more systems have gone dark. The Devourers are accelerating their advance. Kwanzaa closed her eyes. In her centuries of life, she had never faced a decision like this. The Confederation had spent 500 years keeping humans contained because they were too dangerous. Now she was considering unleashing them against an enemy that threatened all life in the galaxy. Captain Chen, she said finally, even if I wanted to accept your offer, the Confederation Council would never approve it. Humans are still classified as Category 7 threats. Admiral, Chen said quietly, with respect, your council is about to be extinct along with everyone else if this threat isn't stopped. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about survival. Before Kwanzaa could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the command center. Admiral, shouted the sensor operator. Massive Devourer fleet dropping out of hyperspace at coordinates 7 to 7 Alpha. They're attacking the sanctuary worlds. The main screen shifted to show the horror unfolding in real time. Hundreds of massive black ships were surrounding peaceful planets filled with refugees from other attacks. The Devourers weren't just destroying military targets. They were systematically eliminating all organic life. How long until our relief fleet arrives? Kwanzaa asked. 6 hours, Commander Yulsar replied. But Admiral, the mathematical models show we have less than a 12% chance of success even with our entire remaining fleet. Kwanzaa watched the massacre on her screens. Billions of innocent beings were about to die, and there was nothing the Confederation could do to stop it. They had forgotten how to fight, how to think like warriors, how to win against an enemy that showed no mercy. But they knew someone who hadn't forgotten. Captain Chen, she said, making the most difficult decision of her life. How quickly can human forces reach the sanctuary worlds? We have 12 ships within 2 hours travel time, Chen replied immediately. Not much against a fleet that size, but Admiral. Humans don't surrender. We'll fight until the last ship is destroyed. And your government approved this? Chen smiled grimly. Admiral, when extinction is the alternative, governments become very flexible. Every human ship is crewed by volunteers. We know we might not come back. Kwanzaa looked around her command center one more time. Every face showed the same expression, desperate hope mixed with ancient fear. They were about to unleash the species they had spent centuries containing. Do it, she ordered. All human vessels are authorized to engage Devourer forces. Emergency battlefield promotion for Captain Chen to battle commander status, and God help us all. As the communication ended, she realized she had just gambled the future of the galaxy on the species they had always feared most. The question was, had she just saved them all or doomed them in a different way? Either way, they were about to find out what humans could really do when the survival of innocent life was at stake.